we can generalize what it is and we can infer meanings. So basically about the AI is, kind of imitating what we have as a human intelligence and then how we can help with through the computer. So it is all about based on logics and algorithms. So in order to develop AIs, there have been tons of basics and applied research conducted throughout the last 70 years. So it is a long process, as Kuzanai said. It doesn't happen overnight. It's been a while. So and as you know, with basic research, it is not always that straightforward. It could be quite challenging, and sometimes it doesn't turn out as we hope. So there's been, over the year, there's been many high hopes with the AI and success story as well, and a lot of disappointment as well. So, and then when it comes to technology, no matter how hard we try, we humans have a tendency to overestimate what will happen in the short term, and then we tend to underestimate what will happen in the long run. That's the same with AIs, so it's been true more or less. Especially true in the short term. We tend to overestimate what happens, and then in terms of long runs, I think we are still in the early stages of AI that we may have expected something to happen, but then it wasn't happened yet. So that's where we are. So if we look at the after 70 years, and then especially in the last 20 years, so we can see that AI has changed have impact on the businesses, on the society, and our human potential as well. It is particularly helped by the advent of cloud computing. So that helped with the development of AI for the past 20 years, and then also the open source technologies that came out. And then in terms of the computer hardware, particularly the graphic chips, they become much better. So that helped with the development of the AI over the last 20 years. So these days, whether everyone realized that we are basically interacting with AI applications all the time, whether you realize or not. So just for many, it simply start with Google search. As you do Google search, you are basically becoming the user of the AI system as well. And then you have recommendation systems, either used by YouTube, Netflix, Facebook, Amazon. We are all experiencing that. And then it is not just that, it is also about how we understand human speech through our AI assistants, apps like Siri, Alexa, Google Assistants. So we are all using that. And then also about how we translate, because over the years, in the past decade, the translation between various languages, human languages, has become much better. Then we have these apps like Google Translate, Microsoft Translator. Of course, things are not perfect, but they are getting better and better. And then we have, self-driving car initiatives like, Tesla Autopilot and Waymo from Alphabet, or obviously involving image recognition, computer vision, things of that. Of course, now, as Kuzone mentioned as well, everyone is using ChatGPT these days, with the generated AI apps. As you know, the ChatGPT usage went up so rapidly in about 2 months, so it is the first app to reach the 100 million monthly active users, the first of its kind in terms of technology adoptions. So that's where we are. So if we look at that, we can see that AI is such a broad research field. Our focus here today is not so much get into the technical detail, but just in terms of what are the main subfields that we should understand for better understanding. So we should have better understandings on things like machine learning and deep learning as for the how we look at it. So machine learning is a subset of AI. So it is quite important toward recent achievement in AI because when the AI research started, there's been many approaches that I've taken, but over the past this decades, the machine learning play a huge role in all the applications that we're having these days. So basically, machine learning allows software application to become more accurate at predicting outcomes without being explicitly programmed to do so. So how the way we do it is basically machine learning algorithm use the historical data to as an input, and then out of that basically to predict the outcomes. So that approach became quite effective when we have large set of data. So all these things, the researchers have been working on these for such a long time, but everything converged together with the availability of hardware and the software programming languages. Everything converged. So that's where we are having today. And then of course there's a deep learning. Deep learning itself is a subset of machine learning again. It is about it's based on understanding how our brains are structured. So basically, deep learning utilize our artificial neural network structure, and these are quite important to how the way ChatGPT work and self-driving cars. So that's how how does AI work? AI basically is require a foundation of specialized hardware and software to writing and maintaining their algorithms. So basically it ingests a lot of data, particularly training data, so that we can basically infer for the patterns and the correlations. So based on these patterns that we make prediction about the future outcomes. So one of the main goals for the AI researchers have been achieving the artificial general intelligence (AGI), so which is slightly different from not slightly different, a lot different from narrow AI or weak AI, which is like the way we use with our voice assistants. So it is basically just for a particular thing. With the AGI, it is more considered as a strong AI, where the system can basically learn to accomplish any intellectual task that human can perform. Then of course everyone know that there is a concept of singularity, where basically the computer system will achieve super intelligence and it far exceeds all our human intelligence. Some people think that it may never happen, but then some people think that it will happen sooner. But then in terms of the exact time frame, we're still figuring out we goals. At least Ray, he mentioned that in 2005 that we will reach the singularity by 2045. So we're still about maybe 20 years away, or it will come sooner, or how it will happen, it remains to be seen. So with the usage of AI, we're going to see many effects, both positive and negative. There's a benefit of automations versus unemployment potentially increasing, and then people who have access to AI and people who will not have access to the AI, the inequality in the society could become much bigger than what it is now if we are not quite careful. And then of course there are many legal, ethical, and security concerns. Hope we can have a more discussion of these as we move along. So and then the last point is that there is something called AI effect as well. So people see what things are AI, and then as people utilize more and more, they no longer see it as AI anymore. For example, optical character recognition, OCR. So now this is so readily available, everyone is using it. It just become part of our life, and then people don't see it as AI anymore. So that's called AI effect as well. So with all these capabilities that AIs are having right now, I'm still a strong believer that we are still at the very early stages of the AI revolution on how our society will change, and then hopefully we can best explore together today.
Thank you very much. Actually, Go on the prepared. He is well prepared. So I'm also well prepared. I write down a few questions I'm well prepared. But you are very, very well prepared, and you made a very comprehensive introduction about AI, and I learned a lot together with the audience, I believe. So AI is not about ChatGPT. It's not invented yesterday. It has been developed over time since about 1950s, and then it has been developed very fast in the last 20 years. And then there are many applications which we have been using, or which we have been experiencing in our daily life. For example, YouTube, Netflix, OCR, Google Search, Google Assistant, Siri, etc., etc. So all these are AI-oriented programs, applications, and also AI developed not only by itself but also converging all those technological components like cloud computing and also deep learning, and also many other technologies which we have been developing over the time. So thank you very much, Jose, for your research and for your explanation to the audience. So secondly, let me go to a little bit more deeper with the IT industry trends, because Kosai Saiwan comes from IT industry. He is now Cisco. Previously he was Microsoft, but previously he was Cisco again. So he is in this IT industry, and he lived in Thailand, even though he comes from Myanmar, but he had a residence and a family in Thailand. So may I ask two questions actually. The first question is, what are the trends of AI in terms of the IT companies? For example, Cisco, Microsoft, Google, etc., etc. All those IT corporations. What are they planning to do? What are they doing with AI? What are they going to launch soon, etc., etc.? And also, secondly, what are the applications of AI in Thailand, in politics, in society, in healthcare, in education, etc.? So two questions. You may take 6.5 minutes.
Thank you. So, I'm not sure if all of you know Cisco, so maybe I'll give a brief introduction about Cisco.
Half minute, okay?
Half minute, okay. So we started out as a networking company, so all the technology that enables you to connect your different computers in your office, or from your computer to your corporate data center, or the traffic that goes around in the internet. Most of these technologies were pioneered by Cisco, and we started out in the networking part. But now we branch out into other areas as well. So we make data center products, we make cybersecurity products, we make collaboration products as well. So that's a brief introduction about Cisco. And as Alzia was saying, the AI has been around for quite a while. So even in Cisco, we've had AI applied into our products for quite some time, but you don't see it because they're working behind the scenes most of the time. So, for example, as a networking company, we produce products that handle the network traffic, like I mentioned, between different computers, or between your PC and the servers, or your servers and the internet. And one of the ways we use AI is to detect anomalies from a security standpoint. So suddenly, we see network traffic patterns. This person usually accesses data at this time of the day, and there's normal traffic. But once you accumulate that data and you start applying AI to that, you can see anomalies in the data. And that's usually when somebody hacks into your network, or there's some malware coming into your network. And AI can flag that, and it can let somebody investigate it. That's one way to deal with it. Or in some cases, we can even isolate that device and quarantine it, so that the intrusion cannot go any further. So that's one way we've been applying AI in some of the products. But more recently, we're coming out with more AI, ChatGPT-like AI products. So one of the things is AI policy assistant, which will help you write firewall rules using AI. So traditionally the way to configure a firewall is quite complicated, and you have to write thousands of lines of code to determine what traffic you will allow, what traffic you will not allow, and it's quite complicated and it's difficult to maintain. But using AI, it can suggest you what the appropriate policy should be. It will make your work easier, less mistakes, that kind of stuff. Another way that we are using AI is in the corporate, what we call SOC, Security Operations Centers. Most of the large corporations will have security operations centers within their IT department, and their job is to monitor the intrusions into their network and into their data center, who is hacking into them, and dealing with those threats. And that job is very complicated because, believe it or not, every day they get tens of thousands of alerts, suspicious activity happening in their networks, and it's not easy to deal with that. Even large corporations struggle with tracking and addressing all these attacks that are happening into their networks. So this SOC assistance will, again, using AI, try to help isolate what is a real threat, what is not a real threat, and how to deal with it. So there's another area that will be applying AI in our products. So it's becoming more mainstream, more visible in the products. And I think it's the same for all the other IT companies as well, because everyone is viewing AI as the next internet. So if you are old enough to be around when internet first came on, it changed the way we work, it changed the way we play, it changed everything for us, right? And they are viewing AI as the next internet revolution. So everybody is jumping into the AI bandwagon, and you see Microsoft, Google, everybody trying to incorporate AI into their products, especially at this point is the personal productivity aspect of their products. And I think it's gonna be true for all the IT companies. I think either you learn to get benefit from AI, or you'll be left behind. I think that's the reality. Even Facebook, I think they were distracted with the metaverse for a while, but they immediately saw the potential of AI, and now they're jumping into the AI bandwagon. So I think that's going to be the future, and everybody will have to embrace it and deal with it. And all the tech companies will be trying to roll out AI as part of their regular product offerings. And you asked about Thailand, and I don't think the AI industry in Thailand is that mature yet, but the government itself has laid out a plan for AI. So I was quite impressed with it. I looked it up, and they set out a national AI strategy and action plan, and that actually came out before the ChatGPT. So they were actually ahead of the trend. They were already thinking about AI. And the good thing about the Thailand, I like the one thing I like about their plans is they actually have specific goals. So they set up within 5 years they want to educate 600,000 people about AI. They want to have AI related laws and regulations ready, and I think they're currently 60 something in the AI readiness index. So there's something called AI readiness index that ranks the countries, and they are 60 something, and they want to be in the top 50. And they want to increase AI related investment 10% year over year. They want to develop 30,000 AI programmers, and they want to have 100 prototypes, 600 different agencies using AI, and 48 billion baht of economic impact from AI. Very specific goals that they set, so it's quite impressive.
Thank you, Kusai. Thank you very much. Wow, it's a wall as well, because the industry-wide Cisco has been leading network security area in IT industry, and also Cisco is using AI and becoming the mainstream. And not only Cisco but also other IT giants also seeing the trends and also making the AI in their front rows. So both Microsoft and Google and also Facebook, etc., etc., etc. So, and I learned something about security issues. It's a bit different from AI, but it's very much scary because every day you are having many alerts. So I'm wondering about our banks. My money is my money safe or not? It depends on Cisco. So thank you very much. And also we learned a lot about not a lot, a little bit about the Thailand AI strategy and plan. It sounds very futuristic, you know, and future-oriented plan, and it's great. We want to have such a government or policymaker or IT industry or IT organization like Myanmar Digital Economy Association. By the way, Guang Xiaolin is Myanmar Digital Economy Association's president. Myanmar လို့ပြောရင်တော့ဥက္ကဋ္ဌပေါ့ဥက္ကဋ္ဌဆိုတာအုပ်ထဲမှာအထားဆုံးလူတွေလုပ်တယ်ဆိုတော့ဒါအုပ်ထဲမှာအထားဆုံး MDE Myanmar Digital Economy Association. Anyway, don't worry. နိုင်ငံခြားသားတွေနားမလည်ဘူးကျွန်တော်ပြောလိုက်တာလေ Let me go to Mache. Because her name is Che Indu. I asked her, can I call you Che? She said, Che is, I don't translate it, no? But Che Indu comes from the education industry. She is providing education application, software, and also education services to many organizations, including UN and also even the Ministry of Education, etc., etc. So I would like to ask this question about the role of AI in education and how are you using it? What are the impacts and what do you see the AI applications further in education sector? Thank you, Chi.
Okay, thanks for the question. So my name is Che Indo, and I have a company called CC Educate Myanmar, which is providing learning management software to private and public sector. So today my expertise is only in education, so I will focus more on the education sector. Yeah. So if we look about this traditional learning, what happened is we all grew up learning based on the rote learning, so we just have to memorize everything and then answer it back, right? But when I started my company, I have to introduce a lot of company to online learning, and it has a lot of difficulty because I have to deal with a lot of tutor and also like a school, and I have to face the whole ecosystem, not just selling a software. I have to face the challenges within the whole ecosystem, right? But I also have to find out that the learning, my background is IT, but then I have to find out the education knowledge, how the learning process works, right? But everyone in the room here, I want to ask who is very good at rote learning? Can you raise your hand if you're good at rote learning? Okay, I'm not good at it, but I'm very good at learning by doing things. If you are like me, can you raise your hand? Like you learn. Yeah, okay. So we all have different learning style, right? And then things cannot be kind of like judged based on how we learn, right? Sometimes we learn slow, sometimes we learn fast. Even when you read a book, you have different pace, right? You can read 1 page a day, but if you read 30 days, then you finish 30 pages, right? It doesn't mean you cannot compare to someone who read 30 pages a day. So I really learned this method. So every time I have to speak with trainer and also like the service provider, I also have to tell them like we have to customize it. At first I was like, okay, this is a solution, and I try to sell everything, but it doesn't work like that, right? We have to customize it. So what happened in AI is that AI actually can customize the learning. So example, let's say we are very good at learning by watching YouTube, right? But if we don't practice this, or YouTube normally didn't ask question back, so we don't memorize it. Let's say example, in the learning, they stop for 5 minutes and they will ask you a few questions. What did you hear about it from this video? If you answered it, you will actually remember it, right? So this type of customized learning, this type of asking you and you take action is actually the way of learning. Actually, this is the AI. It's very simple. So as you know, our specialist said before, it's already there, but we just didn't notice it, right? So in the tutor base, I think in other countries they're already using the virtual tutor. So virtual tutor means student can ask random question and they will pick up, the AI software can pick up the answer related to the question based on the student, and then they will respond back to it. But if it's not, then it will be posted as a Q&A and it will reply in a few days. So this is one type of virtual assistant. And also another thing is interactive engaging learning. So what is interactive engaging learning? Is kind of like gamification. So you just have to like, learning is the way of it. Have you tried language app called Duolingo? Anyone? Can you raise your hand? Okay, we have a few. It's a very good app, okay? So it also track your progress, okay? And it will also notifying that, oh, you haven't learned, okay, you can just choose like, if you want to learn to walk one day, then they will just remind you like how you want to learn, right? So this is basically the AI education app, a very good example of it. So if you want to learn a language, then it can just like notify you, and the app can also trace you, like how good memorized you are. So if you really try hard and memorize more word, then they will kind of like put you more challenge, right? So I think yeah, this is a kind of like interactive language, gamification, and also for the teacher, there are a lot of automation grading. So I think Google Classroom also has it, if you notice it. So they will actually give you grading right after your learning process. They don't need you lecture to give you a feedback. And also another thing is, I think China already kind of put in the testing. They will trace the student learning, and they already have a software, and then in the classroom there are kind of 20 students. They will kind of track the student movement and learning process based on how students respond to the teacher. And also after that, they will kind of utilize this data and then set the customized set of learning process. And the last thing, I think Singapore has already started put in practice AI in examination, which means there are a lot of certification process that you have to do online, but you don't have to be in present anymore. But when you do, you have to open a webcam, and then you have to show your ID, and they will kind of like track you are actually the same person who is answering the test, and they will also track your eye movement, I think. I haven't tested the software yet, but this is how I observe it. So they will test you and your behavior. Let's say if you are kind of like cheating, then they will notice you. So this is how AI was used in examination process. Yeah, I think there's a lot to explore in AI. I think I'm still learning as well. But in Myanmar, what we have practices, I think very basic level, like kind of like pre-graded and virtual tutor. I think in our software, we already put it in practice. So I think in our in Myanmar right now, this is what we are doing it. And also another part is, since everyone here is kind of like expert and already in certain place and workplace, I also suggest you to try upscaling courses, because we cannot stop moving in this day. So I think if you do upscaling process, you will definitely see these days a lot of online courses have AI process. You will surprisingly see some not just like pre-recorded video anymore. There will be a lot of games involved, and there will be kind of interactive session. You have to just like drag and drop, and also like collective answer have to solve, right? So yeah, I think that's all for now for my part. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chendu. Actually, this is one example of one sector, education sector. The AI is playing a big role. Actually, AI is playing a big role, not only in education, but also in many areas.